I have a favor to ask. All of you who care about trans people, who care about immigrants, who care about your communities, and who care about anything other than money and power and influence, please disrupt something. Disrupt something as soon as you can. Disrupt something as much as you can. Disrupt something as often as you can. That's what I'm doing today, right now. You're seeing a black screen, and that's all you will be seeing for the duration of this video. This video won't have a thumbnail. If this makes it to monetization, then I'll be using the funds to donate to a bunch of different causes that I'll mention throughout the video. If it's demonetized or suppressed, then I'll simply donate the YouTube revenue that I get from this past month of viewership. Whichever amount is bigger in the end is getting donated. I don't know how long this video will turn out to be. All I care about is that it disrupts my feed and my content, that it stands out like a sore thumb, and that it makes people stop and at least watch the first few minutes and actually like feel something. Honestly, I can't control that last part. Not really. But I'm gonna continue on anyway. On this day, the 4th of July, a so-called holiday to celebrate these so-called United States of America, we citizens of the country are told to rejoice and look back at 250 years of freedom. 250 years of freedom. In what universe? America laid its foundations on soil soaked by the blood of Native Americans, and then within those fragments of scattered colonizer settlements, continually used the labor of immigrants, specifically Chinese and Irish immigrants, to build the railroads connecting the country. And need I even say it, the bricks of this nation were built by bloody and beaten black bodies reduced to subhuman property under chattel slavery. America has been a continuing practice of hoarding wealth and property. These practices get solidified. They calcify into oppressive systems, disenfranchising as many groups as possible as long as something, anything, is exploitable for profit or power or both. This is how it always has been. This is not how it always has to be. I don't give a shit about America's 250th birthday. Cool milestone, sure. Yeah, awesome. I give a shit way more about the America that's been emerging, especially since the 2020s started. And look, I'm really young. I obviously wasn't around for a lot of the major civil rights movements back in the mid 1900s. I'm in my 20s, and so a part of my increasing activism is tied to me literally just becoming aware of the world around me to a degree that I was not when I was a high schooler or a middle schooler, which is fine. So I do want to say that none of this is brand new. I look around and I see so much fucking bullshit right now. The regime that's in full force is not going to relent until we collectively cause enough disruption to counteract the ongoing revocation of civil rights, constitutional rights, and basic human rights. There is a false sense of patriotism going around within the right-wing space that implies one must be neutral towards or completely ignorant to the dark history and the ongoing pitfalls of America. I watched Alexander Avila's recent video on the Freedom 250 project, featuring 18-wheeler trucks visiting majority red states and spreading blatant propaganda. The content in the trucks resembles a mini mobile history museum, and it glazes over the entire system of slavery and racism and Native American displacement, and replaces all of that with AI-generated animations of George Washington looking down at you and like winking at you or some shit. Everything in the truck is powered by PragerU, a blatantly pro-capitalist, right-wing cesspool of Christian-endorsed misinformation parading around as a creditable source of educational videos and articles. And yes, this cesspool of misinformation that calls itself PragerU is of course endorsed by Trump and is one of the sole contributors of this Freedom 250 tour thing, which your tax dollars are going towards, by the way, in addition to funding excessive war machines. Sure. Please go watch Alexander Avila's full video that came out last week. It is wonderfully written and it is very enlightening. I've put the link in the description. You do not have to pretend that America has done nothing wrong for you to believe this country can be improved. You do not have to pretend that America has done nothing wrong for you to be proud of what the country has done, the rights that have been fought for, and the progress that has been made. You do not have to pretend that no one has ever been oppressed for you to be patriotic. There are plenty of people out there with nonprofits and organizations and small grassroots movements to make this country genuinely live up to its own constitutional promises. Those are people actually fighting to make this country more livable, more welcoming, more just, and more free than anyone else within these so-called borders. People who are engaging in mutual aid, fundraising, and direct actions. People who are distributing informational materials, circulating art and music, making zines. People who are waiting around in the dead of night for those who have been released from ICE detention centers to meet those people with warm blankets, fresh drinking water, and the faces of their families. Those are people fighting to make this country truly better than it ever has been. But better is subjective, isn't it? Because that's not better to the people in power. That's threatening. America boasts of gaining independence from British rule in 1776 by fighting for justice and independence and freedom. The same justice and independence and freedom that the country's governing powers now refuse to give to anybody who isn't white, affluent, both, or at least pretending they're either one of those things. A country born out of war and violence. Gunshots, cannon fire, smoke, explosions, horses trampling bodies, dead people lying in the streets, flags waving. You see all this shit on those old revolutionary paintings. Every major movement to make change in America has only been brought to success out of non-peaceful protest, disruption, bringing the consequences of injustice up to the faces of those who perpetrate it. America celebrates its war and violence through every means possible, reasserts it, rewrites history in its favor, commits war crimes, decimates and overkills entities that are not even opponents, and it is high off its own superhero complex. Meanwhile, within America, the history books try to teach us that for minority groups, war and violence is not ideal, but rather peaceful, civilized protests have gotten us the civilized rights we are claimed to have to this day. Don't look towards the Black Panthers, children. Look towards Martin Luther King Jr. America loves promoting nonviolent protest and suppressing the history of real disruptive protest in order to keep external countries fearful of us and keep its internal citizens complacent to its various suppressions. All true forms of protest will be considered violent by the state, and all will be met with excessive force and retaliation. All true forms of protest will be considered violent by the state, and all will be met with excessive force and retaliation. This is how it always has been. Protest is labeled as domestic terrorism now. In 2025, a group of protesters staged a coordinated disruption at the Prairieland ICE Detention Center facility in Texas. Police arrived on scene. One protester shot an officer in defense. The police officer survived. Most protesters scattered immediately. As of today, it has been 1 full year since the actual incident, and only now have the sentences been rolling out in these past few weeks. I'm sure you have seen them in the headlines. Because some members of the group were in a leftist book club and were circulating informational zines amongst themselves, the judge labeled each one as terrorists and labeled the act of art making as, quote, providing material to support terrorists, end quote. As we all know, art is a dangerous and effective counter to propaganda. They are attempting to give these 9 people life in prison with cruel and unusual sentences. 30 years, 50 years, 70 years, 100 years. 2 of the defendants are trans women being held in male prisons. 1 of the defendants, an artist, wasn't even at the fucking protest. They were still all labeled as Antifa, short for anti-fascist, a fake, non-existent organization that Trump is convinced is some sort of scheming domestic terrorist collective. How interesting that a purportedly non-fascist government would deem anti-fascist sentiments as terrorism against the country. And how interesting that dissent and protest protected under the First Amendment is being redefined as a threat to patriotism and classified as a vague, disorganized, fake shadow organization full of anarchists and leftists and socialists, the exact groups of people who oppose Trump's overreach of power the most visibly. The First Amendment is being spat on actively by conservative and outright radically bigoted assholes in higher positions of power. This is bad. And just so you know, the judges who did the sentencing for all of the Prairie Land defendants are named Mark Pittman and Reed O'Connor. I just want to say that again. Mark Pittman and Reed O'Connor. Do with this information what you will. It is the 4th of July, 2026. It has been 250 years of the so-called United States of America. To me, America today is Christian paranoia, fundamentalist fear, and catastrophizing, paradoxical claims of reverse racism, the white Christian majority now acting as a subjugated, downtrodden underdog. To me, America today is excessive aggression, militant force, and unbridled surveillance. To me, America today is mass corporations and monopolies. America today is enterprise, advertisements, subscriptions, independent businesses, startups, tech investments, stock markets. America today is shitty AI slop programmed by and prompted by shittier losers. America today is influence, lookism, GLP-1s, algorithm worship, clickbait, SEO, short form distractions, instant gratification. America today is runoff, plastics, overpopulation, stuffing more people into more skyrise apartments, highways littered with trash, a car-centered society. America today is too loud, too fast, too inconsiderate, and somehow still too numb. Cohen Wiley was a 1-year-old baby, a 1-year-old Black infant. In Mississippi, on June 14th, 2026, 2 women were accused of stealing diapers at a Walmart. The women, one of them holding her baby, leave the store and get in their car. An officer responds to the accusation of theft by opening fire on the car, which is driving away. A very measured response. That was sarcasm. It was not measured at all. Cohen, the 1-year-old Black baby sitting in his mother's lap, was shot, and the driver was also shot and injured. Cohen, the 1-year-old Black baby, died. The police officer who fired at a fleeing car of someone who was accused of theft. The police officer who shot and killed a fucking infant has been put on leave. Not fired, not charged, at least not at time of recording. The Senatobia Police Department refuses to release the officer's body camera footage. I don't know why. All I have to say is, was baby Cohen's life really not worth more than a box of fucking diapers? A protester non-lethally shooting a police officer has received more legal punishment and persecution than a police officer who shot and killed an innocent Black 1-year-old infant. This is America today. I do not even have time to talk in depth about all of the shit this administration is committing. ICE brutality, military overreach, the insanity of the continued support of Israel in the face of an ongoing, debilitating genocide, a near extinction level genocide for Palestinians, followed by a false, watered down ceasefire that has truly not stopped the actual slow, silent starvation and weeding out of those struggling to reclaim their Gaza. A war with Iran for no fucking reason, racism in full force, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia. Let us not ever forget Renee Good, shot and killed in her car for simply getting scared at an ICE officer's request to leave her vehicle. Let us not ever forget Alex Preddy, a protester who was shot repeatedly and killed simply for existing at a protest. They shot him 10 times, by the way, while he was on the ground surrounded by at least 6 officers after having already been pepper sprayed, after only having his phone in his hands. Let us not ever forget the people who have literally self-immolated in the past few years over the Palestinian genocide, publicly lighting themselves on fire, and in one case, burning to death out of shame over the sins this country has been committing. Now, more than ever, disruption is necessary. Protest is necessary. Full exercise of your freedom of speech and freedom to protest is necessary. It is a moral obligation. To be silent is to be complacent. To be passively angry or upset but not take some form of action is still to be complacent. Nihilism is not the answer. Doomerism is not the answer. Giving up is not the answer. Action and disruption are the answers. I get it. You're scared. Those around you are also too scared to do something out of the ordinary. We're tired. We're overworked. We can't afford anything, and we can barely keep up our savings while politicians get more power and corporate giants get more money and protection, and Trump and his monkeys get all of that. You're scared of disruption because to disrupt a system, even in the smallest way, is to also disrupt your own routines, and that's scary. We are scared of being doxxed, watched, followed, surveilled, harassed online. We are scared of jail. I know I am. I'm Black and queer, and I'm soft, and I'm an artist, and I am not made for the cold walls of a cell. We're scared of permanent criminal records. We're scared of the social stigma of being arrested, of being jailed, of being convicted. And we're asked about that shit on future job applications too. We're scared of disrupting respectability politics. We're scared of being disproportionately discriminated against in the act of our protesting. When an extremist, militant, authoritarian, fascist state responds to dissent, it brings the gavel down hard and the baton down harder. I'm scared of physical assault. I'm scared of police brutality. I'm scared of dying. I don't want to be a martyr. We have plenty of those already. Not only are we scared, but we are also desensitized. We've all seen what's happening. We know what's going on. We're overloaded with information, and it feels like there are 20 different catastrophes happening at every second. We are obsessed with social media. We want to be wholesome, safe, rested, unbothered, entertained. We want to focus on our jobs, our pets, our friends, our families. Focusing on community is fine. In fact, that's encouraged. But it's useless if you close your blinds when you see some shit happening out on your street. But you only come around when times are good and easy and safe. We want warm-hearted news. We're aching for distraction, for escapism. We don't want to be disrupted. But coping and comfortability are not doing anything for you or me while people fight on the front lines, getting stomped on by police horses near the gates of ICE facilities, and when people are being sentenced to 2 lifetimes in prison for drawing pictures. That is exactly how this is built. This is built for us to be too numb and too scared to say something or to ask for something or to change something. And it's slowly getting worse and worse. When this country turns into a full-blown extremist state, it will not matter how silent and safe and comfortable you were. Just being Black will be enough. Just being brown will be enough. Just being queer will be enough. Just being trans will be enough. Just disagreeing with the state will be enough. Just asking questions will be enough. Enough to charge you, convict you, jail you, enough to grab you from your homes, to stop you in your cars, to steal you from off the streets, to shoot you and kill you, or someone you love. Disruption is necessary. Sustained, repetitive disruption. Substantial disruption. First and foremost, disrupt the money. One of the easiest ways to make a difference is to simply take your purchasing power elsewhere. I have been boycotting a shit ton of companies, and I'm just going to quickly list them out in no particular order. Target and Walmart dismantled their DEI efforts in 2024 and 2025. So I've been boycotting for years to the best of my ability. I've been boycotting Starbucks for years because they're just too damn expensive and they engage in union busting. I know the unions have been making really good strides and progress. I'm not super up to date with that. It was also said that Starbucks supported Israel in the early days of the war, but now I'm just seeing conflicting reports on that, so I have no idea. I'll just continue divesting because not getting their coffee is genuinely saving me money. I'm boycotting Ben & Jerry's forever, probably, since both Ben and Jerry, 2 prominent activists who have spoken out on behalf of the Palestinian people and a whole host of other causes, are no longer involved in their business. Neither Ben nor Jerry. Their parent company took over and is now selling ice cream in Israel and has literally just created a Zionist flavor. Fuck off. I'm boycotting Airbnb, and I also just don't use booking.com because both have listings in occupied Palestinian territories, and I've been divesting from as many giant monopoly corporations as I can. Fuck Amazon entirely. Hell, get off Google Chrome and download Ecosia or DuckDuckGo. Don't worry, I know DuckDuckGo plugs its own AI features, but I literally downloaded it today, and luckily you can fully turn them off and even hide them from being suggested to you in any way. And speaking of, for companies that heavily plug generative AI that is doing nothing but destroying the environment, I am simply not ever touching them. Fuck ChatGPT, fuck Adobe, and fuck Meta. And if you want to sprinkle on some extra credit, find a way to boycott all the arms manufacturers and companies who invest in war machinery, like Unilever and its subsidiaries, and Palantir, although I know they technically don't actually have any consumer goods, but at least spread awareness. Please boycott companies that are ICE sympathizers. For example, the Hilton Hotel often partnered with ICE to house agents in Minneapolis, and when people put pressure on the hotel by creating empty bookings and boycotting the brand, the hotel canceled ICE reservations. I actually came across a chilling parody website called HiltonIce.com, and I highly suggest you check that out. I have linked it below. It is a perfect example of resistance art. Someone is paying for that domain right now, and it's something to behold. When Spotify was running ICE ads, we all did our part to cancel subscriptions and find alternative music apps. And I hope we're all still sticking by that decision. But seriously, there are so many options, and I believe boycotting and divesting and sanctioning and following the BDS movement is one of the easiest things to do. Simply buying something from a different brand or a different store, or just not buying something at all. I'm not trying to overload you with obligations. You do not have to cover every base possible and know about every single struggle going on. I sure as hell do not know about probably half the things that are happening in this world. I'm just trying to show you that there are so many options, and there's no such thing as a right combination or like the right thing to be focusing on. You can just take action. It's not gonna be perfect either. I despise the overreach of Google and Meta, and yet here I am talking to you on YouTube and honestly getting all of my activist news from Instagram. You just gotta pick and choose. Although obviously I do heavily recommend Blue Sky and Substack if you're also looking to jump off into different social media apps. In addition to boycotting and taking your money elsewhere, tangible physical disruptions are needed as well. Social disruptions are needed, visible disruptions are needed, even if they're small. Make people confront something in the real world that is right in front of them. Design stickers, flyers, zines, websites, and distribute them around in any way you can, in any way that's visible and will cause someone to pause for just a second. If you're a content creator, for goodness sake, make unusual posts and interrupt your own feed. Find people you love, gather them up, make disruption fun, make it a community effort, make it a friend hangout. We are all so desensitized to a screen, so make people confront something in their actual reality. Create noise disruptions. Head to your representatives' offices in person, confront people in person, disagree with that bigoted coworker of yours in person, interrupt, say the shit out loud. If they're trying to imply something, just speak it into the space. If your workplace is complacent, if your educational institution is complacent, then mama, walk out of the front doors and go on strike. Start picketing. Okay. I don't know why. Don't know why I got so sassy. Also, disrupt the labor force, because like it or not, unless you're making passive income to the degree of not needing to ever work or create anything or post anything, you are the labor force. We are the labor force. We must disrupt that too. Of course, there's all the usual stuff you hear about nonviolent protest. Call your representatives, write your representatives, flood phone lines, jam mailboxes with letters. You can absolutely do that. Now, do I have personal objections with these? Yes, I do, because insulated and cushioned politicians are simply too padded to actually feel the consequences of what they're doing, in my opinion. Yes, I have heard that they tally the calls and the letters, and they have to write down the topics. In my opinion, there's no way to guarantee that someone's human eyes have looked at what you wrote or typed, and there's no guarantee that somebody has actually listened to what you said. But again, that is my opinion. More and more, we've seen how those in power train themselves to tune out any unpleasantries. But again, that is purely my own opinion. Do what you can. The action here is the call. And speaking of action, if you're going to be on the front lines taking direct action physically and taking a stand in protest, if you are trying to physically disrupt, then please make yourself aware of all the gear, first aid, and defensive measures that protesters before you have used in order to protect yourself and care for the people around you. Please study thoroughly. Study the measures and tactics taken in Minneapolis, not only in 2025, but also from 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement. And of course, all the tactics used in Hong Kong. I have put some other useful links below in the description. That is all I will say about physical direct action. Of course, I do not condone, etc., so on and so forth. Wink, wink. If you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen so many of the protest resources I will share on the regular. Disruption does not always have to be physical and involved. Of course, before disruption, simultaneous to disruption, and after disruption, there's always mutual aid and community care. A few times now, I've donated to some GoFundMes for families in Gaza. I believe there's an entire spreadsheet of fundraisers that I'll link in the description. There's also jail support and legal representation funds, like the one for Des Sanchez, one of the Prairie Land defendants that I've donated to, also linked below. When Minneapolis was in the darkest depths of ICE brutality, they created funds to cover people's rent if they were too afraid to leave their house and go to work. Let's do more of that. I mean, how cool would it be to create a community fund for people who want to take a week off their job to flood their representative's phone line or attend every single city council meeting to protest in person and disrupt the meeting? I don't know. That's one cool idea. I'm just coming up with shit. There are far smarter people than me who are actually doing these things. Please seek them out. This video is not comprehensive or perfect by any means. It is not intending to be. Please do not let this be your last stop on the road to disruption. So many of my thoughts are scattered, and I know about a lot of things kind of mid-surface level, but I haven't dug into a lot of these. Genuinely, the amount and depth and breadth of all the shit that America is doing wrong currently makes it hard to be an expert on anything. I admit my biggest weak spot is policy and legislature. I simply do not care about overly complicated nuances of who my representatives are and what bills are passing when and for what things in my city and state. And I know I should, but honestly, I know I need to improve on it. And I can also donate to and support my local grassroots orgs who do know these things and specifically take actions to support their community and advocate for justice. In the resource list I end up creating, I also want to list a random smattering of things I have enjoyed, things that have informed me, things that have motivated me or inspired me. I'm subscribed to a number of awesome Instagram profiles dedicated to social justice and advocacy. A ton of them are linked below. Last year, I read the 1619 Project by Nicole Hannah-Jones, a real actual comprehensive look into real actual American history and the depth of how the slave trade built the economy of this so-called country. I haven't finished this book yet, but Who's Afraid of Gender by Judith Butler, which came out in 2025, details and discusses the paradoxical state of homophobia and anti-trans hysteria. Philosophy Tube has a video on it that I will not let myself watch yet until I finish the book. And also, if you want good music to get riled up to, I listen to Grandson when I feel angry. That's a very short list, but it's definitely not a comprehensive one. But I definitely encourage you all to check those things out. There is hope for the future. I am a 2000s baby. I have watched countless anime and Disney movies about small, hopeful heroes taking down impossibly gargantuan forces of evil. You cannot show that stuff to us and expect us to not push back against deeply embedded, harmful systems that are robbing us, starving us, unhousing us, jailing us, disempowering us, and killing us. The system has always needed people to remain poor, overworked, exhausted, and too complacent to do anything. You have to interrupt one of those things for yourself, or you'll look back in your life and say you did absolutely nothing to support the cause. Well wishes, hopes, prayers, all of that will no longer work on their own. At this point in time, there is no such thing as being apolitical, and nonviolent action is beginning to be addressed with the same levels of suppression and punishment that violent action would be. Take that information and do with it what you will. I don't love America. I never have. I love what happens to be near me and around me in America. I love nonprofits. I love queer communities and sub-communities. I love niche weirdo artists and craftspeople who make beautiful, tangible things informed by their imperfect experiences as living creatures on this planet. I love people a lot. I love my Southern culture. I love my food. I love laughing. I love memes. I love stupid YouTube videos. And I love the people who make them. I like people a lot. I don't like corporations. I don't like money. I don't like power. I like stories. I like art. I like novelty and seeing people do insane and awesome things. And I have seen so many people do insane and awesome things. The couple that climbed the Empire State Building, hell yeah, let's do some more of that shit. The wins that are coming out of the New York political scene with people electing Congress members who are backed by Zohran Mamdani, hell yeah. And this last thing is abroad, but Gen Z dismantling a corrupt government in Nepal last year? Fuck yeah. Say it with me now. Collective survival in these times requires collective disobedience. It requires collective disruption. What will I be doing moving forward? Well, monitoring this video to see how it does. If it gets monetized, I'll do what I promised, and for the next month, take the revenue and put it towards mutual aid and fundraisers. There's a couple of local organizations that I personally love, so I might actually try and put it straight back into my community if I can, or at least a portion of it. Also kind of depends on how much it even gets. If it's demonetized or even reported or taken down, I'll just put it up on my Patreon and literally reopen my Patreon because I had closed it due to my hiatus. And instead, I'll just take my last month's worth of revenue and do it anyways. I'll just donate it anyway. It's not much. It's like $100 from the last month because I've been so inactive up here. But damn, $100 could change somebody's life right now. Moving forward, I'm going to be keeping close tabs on the Prairie Land defendants case because this truly will show us how the government is going to respond to further disruption and protest. I'm going to maybe expand my letter writing. I know what I said earlier about feeling like letter writing can be pretty futile, but there are a lot of bastards out there who I think I want to write to, even if it does feel a bit useless. I'm going to make art. I'm going to use my artistic talent and put my art everywhere out in the real world, not just online. I'm going to share things on my Instagram for awareness and motivation as usual. And this one is random, but I want to remove myself a bit more from relying on major corporations, and I want to learn one self-sufficient skill. I think I'm going to learn how to sew on my own or start a garden. One of those two things. Yeah, I think that'd be nice. All right, for those of you who got all scared about the words protest and the words violence and the words disruption, you want a Martin Luther King Jr. quote? All right, here it is. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Letter from Birmingham jail. There. But I also want to leave us on this quote from Malcolm X. You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. Basically, in other words, no justice, no peace. Thanks for listening.